ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमो विष्णुपादाय विष्णुकृष्णाय श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी चारिणी निर्विशेषशून्यवादी स्मृतिशास्त्रदेशस्मरणि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तों। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम राम। Hare Krishna. Today, Balaram Shakti Prabhu is engaged somewhere, so we will not have uh, Krishna Chakravarti's commentary. We'll just and take a look at that. But so here, we are discussing the, how these things, how this bondage happens for a living entity. Mother Devati asks these questions. For that, Lord Kapila, he gives very nice explanations. We'll try to just take from there. The Supreme Personality of God said the unmanifested combination of three modes is the cause of manifestation state called Pradhana or Prakriti. So both are same only, Pradhana or Prakriti. Now, what happens is, this is very important. Then he explains, so you know about Pradhana Prakriti. The aggregate elements, namely five elements, five subtle elements, five internal senses, five senses for generating the knowledge, and five outward organs are known as pradhana. So here, but they are all in a very unmanifested form. So the five gross elements, five subtle elements, five internal senses, five senses for gathering knowledge, and five outward organs known as pradhana. So all these things, there are 24, that's all. And then he says these five gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and there are five subtle elements, smell, taste, color, touch, and sound. These are the 10 total. And then he starts explaining the senses for acquiring knowledge and the organ for acting, number 10, namely auditory senses, the sense of taste, the tactile senses, the sense of sight, the sense of smell, the active organs for speaking, the active organs for working, and their traveling, generating, and evacuating. So these are karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. Now comes the subtle part. Now internal subtle senses are experienced as having four aspects. Four in the shape of mind, intelligence, and ego, and contained consciousness. This is very important. This is here comes manas, buddhi, ahankar, and chitta. So we will discuss this more, but before this, telling in detail, Lord tells about the remaining things. All these are considered to be qualified Brahman. The mixing element, which is known as time, is contained as a 25th element. So this is a very important thing. Till now it was 24 and 25th is time. Now we discussed this yesterday also. Now from the beginning of class started till now, there was change in terms of my body also. So many cells died, so many generated. It's change in the sense of what is happening around. So many changes are happening, and this is the only reason is because time affected. Without time, there is no chance that there will be some changes anywhere. So main thing happens is the time factor. We have to understand the time is what is making all the changes. Kalosmi lokakshay krito. That's what when Arjuna asks Krishna, who are you? He says, I am time. And that is the only factor that is changing everything. Otherwise, pradhan on itself, nothing will happen. Now something is changing, like we are born, we are growing old, we are dying, only because of this 25th element. And this is Lord Krishna only, Kala. When he glances on Pradhana or the Prakriti, then that is also called Kala. The glance is actually Kala. He is entering as Kala. It is also called Shim. And this we have discussed yesterday. As such, this is all made of three modes. Brahman is mixed with three qualities. So this is also very important. If you remember the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very clearly mentions in the fourth shloka where he says that fifth shloka, Sattvam Rajasthameti Guna Prakriti Sambhava Nibaddhanti Mahabaho Dehe Devam. And fourth one also, Sarva Yonishu Konte Murte Sam Tasam Brahma Mahadionir Aham Bija. So it's all Brahman. He is impregnating. He is impregnating how? With the living entities, time, Kala, and Swabhava, like that. This is what Lord explains. And here we see that here also same thing. That when Brahman is mixed, everything is an expansion of energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parasya Brahmani Shakti. But this, when Brahman is mixed with three modes of passion, ignorance, the results the material expansion. And it is sometimes called Saguna Brahma, which consists of these 25 elements. In Nirguna Brahma, there is no material contamination, or in the spiritual world, the three modes are not present, where Nirguna Brahma is found. Simply unalloyed goodness. When these vikaras are entering, the Shambhuna, that is actually where it is why Kshiram Dadayati Vikara Visesha Yoga. So there is some vikara that is added. So there is impurity that comes. Then that is all these things. Then there is a transformation. And here, this is the influence of a very important factor here. The influence of Supreme Personality of Godhead is felt in time factor. We discussed this also. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is felt in time factor. So he is Kala only. That when what we discussed when Arjuna saw the universal form, he saw something else only. He says, who are you? Then Krishna says, I am time. The Supreme Lord in this material world is time factor. We can not directly see him, but we can perceive him in the form of time. Like people say, show me Lord. We say, yes, he's time. You can see him in terms of time. The time is passing. What time is doing, it's not just passing, it is changing. It which causes fear of death due to false ego of deluded soul which has contacted material nature. Because what time does, it changes. It changes all the things that are happening in this creation. And that is actually the main danger, the cause of fear. Everything changes around. If somebody says, "Show me Lord," he says, "Yes, this is time. Lord is time. He's changing everything." And it causes fear, right? This is one of the important function. The living entity's fear of death is due to false ego. And this is another thing we discussed also. If I identify anything of this world, I'll be fearful because I'll be attached to it. That is the reason we are afraid. Like I'm identifying myself with the body, and I know this body won't remain with me after some time. I'm identifying with some of my loved ones or loved things. But unfortunately, what happens? Time changes it. That's why it causes fear. Everything is going to perish. That's why it causes because time changes. What what does it mean? It actually there is always the modes they are always dynamic. They are not static. They are always moving. That's why it happens. When in Prakriti, it is in a stable state. But as soon as time enters, it starts moving. Now it is more passion and rajas will be manifested. Passion and ignorance is manifested. And sattva is there. Again, that manifests. So all the things. In morning now, it is little sattva now. As the day progresses, it is rajas. And then in the night, it is tamas. So all the three modes, they're always moving, 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 moving. So it is how it happens. And what happens is when we are the living entity's fear of death is due to his false identification. If I don't identify, I'll not die only. Means I will not have any because I know its body is changing. Say now I am told to go to next room. I will not be means I say okay, I know I am going. I am there, but only room is changing. I told today you have this car, tomorrow you will have another car. And only car is changing. Nothing is happening to me. But if I strongly identify with the car, then I'll have problem. I say, no, 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 I want this car only. Similarly with the body also. If we are strongly identifying with the body, then only there is fear. If I don't identify, where is the question of fear only? Due to false identification only. If I'm identifying with the car, I have problem in changing the car. If I'm not identifying, it's okay. So everyone is afraid of death. Actually, there is no death for the spirit soul. But due to our absorption, see, due to our absorption in the identification of body as a self, the fear of death develops. And we have to analyze it in this way only. Arey, I am afraid. For what reason? And what is the reason? Because we are seeing these things separate from Krishna. Bhayam Dityad Abhiniveshatasya. No, I don't belong to it. So this is Bhayam Ditya Abhiniveshatasya Ishadam. Matter is secondary. One who is absorbed in secondary elements and second exhibition of spirit is afraid of it. That discussed. And now here, my dear mother, daughter of Swambhu, the time factor, as I have explained, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom the creation begins as a result of agitation of neutral, unmanifested nature. So, unmanifested state of material nature is Pradhana. The Lord says that when the unmanifested material nature is agitated by the glance of Supreme Personality of Godhead, it begins to manifest itself in different ways. That is actually the glance is what? Kala, we discussed, right? When the glance is supreme, it is. Before this agitation, it remains in the neutral state. No time means no change. Time means change. Without interaction with three modes of material nature. The three modes are there, but in a they're in a neutral state. They don't move. In other words, material nature cannot produce any variety of manifestation without the contact of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's what Krishna tells. Aham Bija Prada Pita. Very clearly he says in the Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, 4th shloka, 14.4, 14 shloka. Sarvayonishu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavanti. Tasam Brahma Mahadionir. Brahma Mahadionir. So this Brahman is actually this what do you call Prakriti. So in that Aham Bija Pradapita. So it is very clearly said, and here also same thing. This is very nicely explained. Now is a cause of product of material nature. Without his contact, material nature cannot produce. So Prakriti on its own. We need woman on her own cannot produce children. She need Purusha man to impregnate, right? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, very suitable example is given, the nipples of goat. It cannot. So similarly, here, material nature appears to material scientists to act and react in a wonderful manner, but in reality, it cannot act without agitator time. You see, the time is what changes. So, impregnation of Lord is through time. He impregnates with time and jivas both. Impregnation of time, what it does, it changes the pradhana, and impregnation of living entities, the so Supreme Lord. So he is impregnating. So he is impregnating with what? Time, jiva. And with jiva who has karma and swabhava. So these are the two things. So what time does? So this is Prakriti. So this Prakriti is impregnated by the Supreme Lord with all these products. So is impregnated. So time, it changes the Prakriti. It makes the transformation of Prakriti. Time plus Prakriti. So what is happening here? There will be agitation of three modes. And that's actually what Krishna tells in the fifth shloka of the 14th chapter. If you see, Sattvam Rajastamiti Guna Prakriti Sambhava Nibadhanti Mahabaho Dehe. So first two lines, Sattvam Rajastamiti Guna Prakriti Sambhava. So what is happening is these three modes are generated. And then what is happening? Now the living entity is also there, na? Jiva. Now what does Prakriti do? This they will provide bodies. So with the help of this transformation of these three modes, we are given bodies. So time goes, makes changes, living entity goes, Prakriti is giving body. That's how the system works. And time is making the changes now, and then the seeds are given in the Prakriti. Supreme Lord is sending all the jivas. And then Prakriti says, okay, take this body, take this body. Why? Based on what? Your karma and swabhava. That's what is telling. Aham bija pradapita. So here Prabhupada is telling same thing. Here he's explaining who is uh, who is the representation of Supreme Lord. So the but in reality it cannot act without agitator time. So without time there is no change. Who is the representation of Supreme? When time agitates the neutral state of material nature begins to produce varieties of manifestations. Ultimately, it is said that so varieties of manifestations, it gives all the bodies and all the structures, whatever you are seeing and seeing. It is that the Supreme Personality of God is the cause of creation. As a woman cannot produce children unless impregnated by a man, material nature cannot produce or manifest anything unless it is impregnated by Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of time factor. This is what is Supreme Lord is doing here. He has to enter and then he is agitating to create jivas. Even the Ham Bija Pradapita is living entities also impregnated in that, because living entities are in the body of Mahavishnu. From there they come. After the Pralaya, we all enter into Mahavishnu body, and again we enter into Prakriti through the glance of Lord. By exhibiting his potency, the Supreme Personality of Godhead adjusts all these different elements, keeping himself within a super soul and without as time. So this is two very important. So Lord is present in two forms in this material world. One is super soul in an internal form. He is there keeping himself within a super soul, and external without as time. This anyway, yogis and all who are self-realized, they can see. And this we all can see. This form of Lord, where is in the form of time. So if somebody asks Lord, for yogis and all, we can tell, okay, meditate, you'll see as Paramatma. For in general people, Lord is in the form of time, Kala. Where and Prabhupada, here it is stated within the heart, the Supreme Personality resides as Super Soul. And see here, what is the action of Super Soul? Upadrishta Anumanta is overseer and sanctioner. And whereas time he changes everything. Here as a time he's only just changing. It's just now people say, oh, dharma is going, dharma is lost, Sanatan dharma, no, all these things, so many conversions, this, that, materialism is coming, America is ruling all over the world with its four important companies, Google, Facebook, and all these, Twitter and all. Their social media is ruling the whole world. All these things now is time factor. Why the changes? This is all time factor. That means what? This is three modes, right? And overseer sanctionary is super soul. This is based on what? This is based on for jivas, karma, and swabhava. So here desires are also important factors. So super soul acts, whereas time factor is agitating three modes. Super soul is going according to the desires, kala, swabhava of the living entities. So both are supreme lord only, but he's acting in a different way. Very important functions. Lord is very systematically organized. He's doing with one energy in the form of time. He's taking care of. This is where he's taking care of. Here also he sanctions Prakriti to do. Here is just it goes along with we say na time factor. Nobody can be blamed. We say time is like that. Why this is happening like this? Why this is happening like this? Why there is so much corruption? Why there is societies like this? Whom we blame? We blame time factor, and it's a neutral thing. Here it is explained within the Supreme Personality of God resides as Super. This situation is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. Super soul resides besides the individual soul and acts as witness. Upadrishta Anumanta. That's what here. And this is in the 13th chapter. This is also confirmed elsewhere in Vedic literature. Two birds are sitting. One is witnessing, other is eating the fruits. This Purusha or Paramatma resides within the body of the individual soul as described in Bhagavad Gita 13.1. Upadrishta Anumanta. So he is a sanctioner and he is witnessing and sanctioning. Witnessing and sanctioning. The conditioned souls engage in happiness and distress. Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktutva Heturuchyate. We are just without any reason we are affected. Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam. As such we are not doing only. It's all done by Prakriti. Unfortunately, because we strongly identify, we experience all these things. So the conditioned soul engages in happiness and distress of a particular given body given him by the arrangement of external energy of the Supreme Lord. But the living entity or the Paramatma is different from conditioned soul. So, sorry, Supreme Living, Paramatma, nothing, he will not get affected. And the conditioned soul comes to this material world in order to lord it over. So, karma and swabhava. Since one cannot do anything without the sanction of Supreme Lord, he lives with Jiva so to witness this and sanction giver. So this is the purpose. So Lord is always present. Not that Lord has to expand so many forms and he has to wait. No, he's one Lord only. But he's present everywhere. That is a speciality. As a spirit, no? More settler you go, you can be everywhere at one place and you can be in many places also. That is a speciality. We are settler and settler. We are in gross, we have to be at one place. Like solid, we discussed also. Solid is the stable at this one place. If water is, it can flow little more. If it is fire, it is little more free. When it comes to air, it is everywhere. And ether, it is more subtler. So like that mind, no, our mind can go anywhere and come. Now I can sit in front of class and I can go to America and come, I can go to here, there, everywhere. The mind is much more subtle. It is present. Where is your mind? They will ask, right? Where is your mind means it is not here. It is somewhere else. Because it is subtle, it can be present in many places like that. The super soul, even though one, he is present in every place. And he is bhokta. He gives maintenance and sanctions to the conditions. Since living entity is constitutionally part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is very affectionate to the living entities. Unfortunately, the living entities bewildered or illusioned by external energy, he becomes forgetful of his eternal relationship with the Lord. But as soon as he becomes aware of his constitutional position, he is liberated. And this is very nice. Like Lord is always very personal, and our philosophy is a personal philosophy. Lord is very, very personal. He takes care of us in a personal way only. The minute independence of conditioned soul is exhibited by his marginal potency. If he likes, he can forget Supreme Lord and into the material existence with false ego to lord it over material nature. But if he likes, he can turn his face to serve the Lord. It is conditioned life is ended and his life becomes successful as soon as his turns face. Where again we just have to do the simple thing, just turn to the Lord, right? He always remains with the conditions. The concern of the Lord is neither to enjoy nor to suffer from the material. He remains with the jiva simply as sanction giver and witnesses so that the living entity can receive the results of his activities, good or bad. This is all about Paramatma only. And next shloka says, after the Supreme Personality of God impregnates material nature with his internal potency, material nature delivers the sum total of cosmic intelligence, which is known as Hiranmaya. This takes place in the material nature when she is agitated by the uh, destination of conditioned souls. Here, what is explained here is uh, when Supreme Lord impregnates. So first he enters as what I told time. Now what he is doing is impregnating material nature with internal potency. What is that? This is material nature delivers the sum total of cosmic intelligence, which is known as Hiranmaya. This takes place in material nature when she is agitated by the destination of conditioned souls. So here, same thing, 14th chapter, verse 3. Material nature is prime factor is Mahatattva or breeding source of all varieties. This part of material nature is called Pradhana or as well as Brahman. Is impregnated Supreme Lord and delivers varieties of living entities. Material nature in this connection is called Brahman because it is perverted reflection of Supreme Nature. So here, what he is doing, he is impregnating with jivas. So first his time is over and then jivas enter. And that is, she is agitated by the destination of conditioned souls. That means based on my kala and swabhava, I am going to get a body. Accordingly, material nature changing. Na? For material nature to change in this body, is affected by what? Is affected by my karma. Based on my karma, material nature is changing. So here, agitated by the destination of the conditioned souls. Like say, now I have to, somebody has to be given the body of a uh, big elephant. So material nature is modifying itself to give that. So on what basis it is modifying? It is agitated by the destination of conditioned souls like that. So here, material nature is connected with in the Vishnu Puran, it is described in Vishnu Puran that the living entity belong to the spiritual nature. So Lord is telling it's internal nature only, spiritual nature. The potency of the Supreme Lord is spiritual. Then the living entity, although they are called marginal, is also spiritual. So in this way, we can say they are internal only in one way. If the living entity are not spiritual, this description of impregnating of Supreme Lord would not be applicable. So, because we are coming from Supreme Lord, so he is impregnated. Aham bija pradapita. The Supreme Lord does not put his semen into that which is not spiritual, but it is stated here that the Supreme Personality puts his semen into material nature. This means that the living entity are spiritual by nature. So we are spiritual, that's why we are spirit only. We have the same nature as Supreme Lord. Aniyam Mahato Mahiyam. So after impregnating the material nature, the material nature delegates all kinds of living entities, beginning from the greatest living creator, Lord Brahma, down to the insignificant ant. Bhagavad Gita 14.4, same thing. Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. This means that all varieties of species, demigods, human beings, animals, birds, everything, material nature is mother and Supreme Lord is the seed giving father. Generally, it is experienced the father gives life, seed of life is given by the father. The body develops within the womb of mother. Similarly, spiritual living entities are impregnated into the womb of material nature, but the body being supplied by material nature takes on many different species and forms. So that means the nature will adjust according to my nature, it will adjust and give my particular type of body. We cannot complain. Material nature is what can I do? You desire like this, you get this body based on your desires. So the theory that the symptoms of life are manifested by interaction of 24 elements is not supported here. That means matter cannot produce jivas. Matter cannot produce jivas. So this is very simple thing we should understand. Because jivas are what? They are spiritual. That's why matter cannot produce. The living force comes directly from Supreme Personality of God and is completely spiritual. There is no material scientific advancement which can produce life. The living force comes from the spiritual world and has nothing to do with interaction of material elements. So Prabhupada is so clear and it is very, when we read more and more, it becomes so clear for us also. It's obvious. Thus, after manifesting variegatedness, the effulgent Mahatattva, which contains all the universes within itself, which is the root of all cosmic manifestation, which is not destroyed at the time of annihilation, swallows the darkness that covers the effulgence at time of dissolution. So this is something very uh, huge thing that is happening. Now, what is happening after manifesting variegatedness? So now Pradhan transformed into Mahatattva. So there is no more Pradhan, it is Mahatattva only. Pradhan means it's a neutral state, but it is no more neutral now. Because in Mahatattva there is time factor. Mahatattva there is time. That means all the three modes are nicely functioning. It is a, of course, here na Mahatattva is mostly Sattva, little bit of, then there is Sutra Tattva, then there is Ahankar Tattva. Sutra Tattva is uh, Sutra Tattva is passion, and then there is Ahankara Tattva, which is ignorance. So these are three things. Mahatattva is mostly sattva only. There is slight, it is not complete pure, slight rajas and slight. And because the time factor is there, slowly, other things are also getting manifested. And when the living entity enters, which contains all the universes within itself, is the root of all cosmic manifestation. So there is this Mahatattva, which is there. The original, we cannot even draw also. Mahatattva is so subtle. But there is some cloud of Mahatattva, which is uh, which contains all the universe. So which contain all the universes itself, which is root of all cosmic manifestations. Everything is coming from Mahatattva only, and which is not destroyed at the time of annihilation, because this is just in a subtle form. It just transforms. That's all. And destroys at the time of annihilation, swallows the darkness that covers the effulgence of time of dissolution. So this we'll see what purpose. Since the supreme personality of Godhead is ever existing, swallows the darkness that covered the effulgence of at the time of this. This I also don't know what happens at that time. We have to become a great yogis to observe this phenomena, how it happens, how it is swallowing. But we can just listen and we will say, okay, something is happening there. Because some things is beyond our intelligence has only five things. One is it can see reality in direct way. Second, it in a distorted way. Third, it has dreams. Fourth, it has memory. And fifth is doubts. But when we see reality, na, because we are so minute, our understanding of reality is also very minute. And second problem is because we have distorted intelligence, distorted because of our perception. Our understanding of reality is also very distorted. So these are the two main problems with this. Uh, okay, I will write. So the five functions of buddhi. Actually, I think maybe buddhi that comes. So this is buddhi's function or conscious intelligence, conscious mind. Buddhi first is right way of perceiving reality. And there is distorted way. Distorted way of perceiving reality. Why it is distorted? Because I already have some conception for myself. So when I see certain things now, I see based on that conceptions only. Say now I am seeing certain I already got cheated by many people. So when I see any person, I feel this person will also cheat. So that is a distorted way of perceiving reality. And third is we have dreams. So this is also because of the conscious intelligence, conscious mind only. We get so many dreams and we accept, oh, this is what I affected. And then the fifth one is memory. This first and fourth are very important. And then the fifth one is doubts. Now this fourth one, first one are too important. Like in Vedic times, children are told to memorize thousands and thousands of slokas they used to memorize. Memory is actually what allows us to live properly. Buddhi nasha, when we say na, when dhyayatu vishan pumsa sangaseshu sanga sanjayate kama, kama krodha. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha smriti vibrama. Smriti vibrama means memory. When memory is lost, smriti vibrama. Smriti bhramshat buddhi nasha. When memory is lost, then buddhi is lost. So main function for us na, how much we are able to remember what is right, what is wrong. So smriti is actually the important function of buddhi. This is what we need to protect. And this is proportionate to how we are living now. We have to have good buddhi. Why people are told to practice celibacy? To have good buddhi. Memory should be there. Smriti should be very nice. Well, people say, what happened to your intelligence? Why did you behave like this? Why did in India they chastise, no? No, what happened to your buddhi? Where did you lose your buddhi? That means what is lost? The smriti is lost. Smriti bramshat buddhi nasho. Because you lost the memory. We need to protect our memory. That's why hearing is so important. Hearing is quality hearing. Like say, now our memory is so poor. Now if I ask, okay, what did we discuss in the beginning of class, half an hour before? 50% of whatever we heard, it is already gone only. We cannot remember. What Prabhuji told in the beginning, it's difficult. Why? The Smriti is so, Kali Yuga memory is so less. That's why people do so many, all these mischievous activities. That is the point. So these are the five functions of Buddhi. Now, what I want to tell is that uh, why we are not able to see all these things. Now, what is explained here is because this part is very small. Even though we see reality, but we are so minute, like it's like a analogy of a blind six blind men and elephant. They are seeing, but their understanding of elephant is very, very small. Because our minuteness, we cannot understand meaning of the things. We just have to hear and say, okay, swallowing the darkness that covers the effulgence at the time of disillusion. Uh, it's not easy to perceive some things. So we have to accept it. Okay. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is ever existing, all blissful, and full of knowledge, his different energies are also ever existing in dormant stage. Thus, when the Mahatattva was created, it manifests the material ego and swallows up darkness which covers the cosmic manifestation at the time of dissolution. Prabhupada readings. So, what happens? It manifests material ego. So, Mahatatvana, it is transforming into Sutra Tattva. So, Mahatattva, Sutra Tattva, and then Ahankara Tattva. So from this Ahankara Tattva, it mixes with Sattva, Raja and Tama, and again all the things are manifested, right? That will come from. The idea can be further explained. A person at night remains inactive, covered by darkness of night. But when he is awakened in the morning, the covering of night or the forgetfulness of sleeping state disappears. Similarly, when the Mahatattva appears after the night of dissolution, the effulgence is manifested to exhibit the variegatedness of material world. So here, darkness is compared to ignorance or compared to forgetfulness of a sleeping state. Uh, that is, we remain inactive, but the activity is, inactiveness is compared to ignorance here. The mode of goodness, which is clearer, sober, uh, status of understanding of the personal, understanding the personality of Godhead, and which is generally called Vasudeva or consciousness, becomes manifested Mahatattva. So Mahatattva, it is completely goodness. Here Prabhupada explains that stage, Vasudeva stage, about the three modes. Now this is a very unique concept according to the Vedic philosophy, which is not there in other. These three modes can explain many, many concepts of reality, which is not there in any other. This is a uniqueness of our Vedic science. Western philosophers, no, they don't know this concept of three modes. Because they don't know about three modes, they cannot answer many questions, which according to our philosophy, we can answer many questions because we see that how things manifest. Bhagavad Gita, the speciality of Bhagavad Gita is three modes. It can explain many things very, very clearly. I mean, there are say like why certain things are happening cannot be explained in why good things happen, bad people, karma, this, that. All these things very clearly understood. Why the society is in this way, particular way. They don't have answers for it. We have because there is a concept of three modes. It clearly tells yes. Now we say what is happening? Passion is working now. What is happening? This is ignorance. This is goodness. So it's very easy for us to comprehend. The Vasudeva manifestation or the status of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called pure goodness or Shuddha Sattva. In the Suddha Sattva state, there is no infragment of the other qualities, namely passion and ignorance. In Vedic literature, there is mention of Lord's expansion of the four personalities, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna. Here in the appearance of Mahatattva, the four expansions of Godhead occur. He who is seated within the Supersoul expands first as Vasudeva. Vasudeva stage is free from infragment by material desires, and it is the status in which one can understand the Supreme Personality of God or the objective, which is described in Adbhuta. This is another feature of Mahatattva. The Vasudeva expansion is called Krishna consciousness, for it is free from all tinges of mental passion and ignorance. So here, this is Kshetrajna, this is Super Soul, and Vasudeva is Krishna alone, is called Dwarkadish. All these things Prabhupada explains. And then he explains how, uh, in order to get release from false ego, one has to worship Sankarshan. Sankarshan is also worshipped uh, through Lord Shiva. He is the predominating deity for it. And one who actually worships Shiva as a devotee of Sankarshan can be released from false material ego. If one wants to get free from material disturbances, that means sorry, mental disturbances, then Aniruddha, because he is the presiding deity. And the moon planet is the controller of mind. So here we have discussed this also. And Pradyumna for intelligence and Brahma. So here this for it is Chitta, it is Vasudev and Vishnu, and it is ego, Sankarshan, and Shiva, it is Manas, it is Aniruddha, Moon, and Buddhi, it is Pradyumna, and it is Brahma. And there are elements also they are connected to it. For Chitta, the element is air. For ego, it is earth. For Manas, it is water. For Buddhi, it is fire. Like that, elements are also connected to it. And now, Chitta is like movable. Here, na, I'll explain few things. Chitta, I will tell about Chitta and Buddhi I have told. I will tell some more things also. So what happens is, here, Chitta, it is a store of all impressions, but in a neutral way. It is all completely neutral, just storage. No, nothing in this. It's a very, very neutral stage of all the things. I'll just see. Yeah, it is predominant primordial material mind or general consciousness, we can call. It's a repository of all information, all experiences, all memory of previous life. It's like hard drive. This is the chitta part. It's just information. It's all experience and information and memory. Clear? Now, the next stage, what happens is then comes this chitta. It's a neutral. It's all impressions. It's memory. Of course, all are memory, but here it's general memory. It's just hard disk. Everything is stored, first to last, from the beginning of wherever we are. If there is no beginning, but everything is stored in it. That's all. So all the psychologists, they work at this level only, at the level of chitta. It does not have anything. Now, then comes ahankara. Now this ahankara, now what ahankara does? It separates the chitta, takes a piece from the huge information sphere and separates it with the walls and says, "This is mine." It is. It creates a boundary wall and says, "Yes, this is mine." This it creates certain impressions for this lifetime. It collects something of chitta and boundary. Now, this Ahankara says, "This is mine, this body, this shape, this is mine, this house." So, it is taking some part of all the impressions and creating certain no, setup. This is okay, this is mine. Like, say, there is cloud. If we'll go with internet language, most of you will understand. In cloud, now everything you store. In internet, everything is there. But we have our own website or we have our own email ID or drive. We have our own drive, right? We have access for our drive. We don't have access for others' drive. So this drive now it separates what? Everything is there internet, but it is stored in cloud. But everybody has their own drive, specific drive. So this is actually ahankara. You're understanding. So here, this is we are separating ourselves from internet. I have my own drive, my own memory, and this is ahankara. And then comes manas. Manasna, it is not a neutral thing. This is a very important to understand what is manas. Now, uh, yeah, here ahankara it draws a connection between sensation we perceive and us. I will explain what it is. But we try to understand. Manas is like subconscious mind. It is conscious. It is subconscious mind. Now, manas is not in a neutral state. It is always plus and minus. Like say, now if I see some object, I'll give an example. Say I am going to the shop, I'm going to the road, and I saw certain object. Now, as soon as we see the object, the eyes na, that give information to chitta. The information goes to chitta. And what chitta does, it will process with all the things it has. It will say, "Oh, this is white, looking soft, looking this size, it's a cake." So chitta, it's a neutral, it only gives information. And that information will go to manas. But manas is not neutral. Manas has plus and minus signs. Plus and minus signs means I like, I don't like. Manas immediately says, "Wow, this is." So chitta na, it has very good storage. As soon as it takes the shape of the object and starts searching in it. Like I see certain object, now I'm seeing a bell. Now as soon as I see bell, this impression goes to my chitta. Chitta takes the shape of bell, starts searching all the files and says bell. It does not tell anything plus minus. That will go to manas. Based on the emotional impressions manas has, it will respond. "Wow, this is cake, this is sweet, this is this." And immediately manas says, "I like," or "I don't like." And this will go to ahankar. And ahankar says, "I want." Ahankar says, "I want." Manas says, "I like." And this happens in such a fraction of time we didn't even know only. We see when we liked it, when we saw it, when we perceived it, it becomes in fraction. And then comes poor buddhi here. What buddhi has to do, it has to execute, go and purchase so that I'll eat. So this is the system, how it works. So chitta is a neutral thing. It just gives the information. Manas is subconscious level. It takes this and then stores information about things in life, especially this lifetime all stored in manas. We may not remember past lifetimes. The impressions are there in chitta, but we don't have memory of it. But this life's memory is there with us. It's like a RAM. Like we have in your laptop. If your hard disk, na hard disk you have 10 hard disks you are keeping in your shelf one after another. It does. But in this laptop, no, you already have certain memories, certain files are there which are very easily accessible. And problem is manas is not neutral. It has signs of plus and minus, and it has emotional component. Here comes the emotional component. At this level, person has desires also. Either I want this or I don't want it. And then comes the conscious mind. I'm just giving, we can go more detail in it. Maybe we'll see in the further sessions if it comes. It's like an little island in the mind, buddhi, which gives the action plan. What I saw, what should I do? It determines what I will do as a result of what I saw or perceived. And if buddhi is strong, mind says, I want it. Manas says, then buddhi says, no, 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 you already ate so much and it is not prasadam. So, like that. So, we have, it is, it happens in that way. So, here, buddhi is giving action plan, whether to eat or not. Like, say, I heard some music. Chitta immediately goes and says, wow, this is music of this singer. That, sorry, it only gives information. That goes to Manas. Manas says, oh, I like this music. This is classical. This is rock. This is, this is this music. And this is a famous singer. And immediately Ahankara starts identifying with that. That is the point. It will say yes, yes, this time, no, this person. Like if I see my mother, chitta gives mother, manas says my mother, manas says I like mother, ahankara says my mother. And buddhi says okay, go and no, meet her, talk her, whatever. So this is how this function, this antakarana, it functions so fast we cannot even know only. Okay, any questions, comments? We have something in chat box, I will just take it. uh, Reappearance of Mahatattva. I didn't understand this question, Archana Mataji. And there is one more. Uh, there is, as you have mentioned, that Super Soul sanctions our actions to experience the effect of our past karma, but at the same time, Bhagavad 15.15 says he gives us knowledge, remembrance, and forgiveness. So, how to understand both these things? He gives knowledge so that we can enjoy this world. Otherwise, we will not be able to enjoy. He makes us remember our desires. He gives intelligence to enjoy the desires. And he makes us forgetful also. Sometimes we need forgetful certain things. Some pains are there. Somebody insulted me in childhood. If I remember I failed in my exams. That time I started crying. Now I don't remember only. If I continually remember, I suffer. So Lord is very merciful. He makes us forgetful. And he makes us remember our desires. Like Muchukunda Maharaj, when he meets, then he says that, then he asks, who are you? I am so and so. Lord said, hey, actually, no, in previous life, you desired to see me. That's why I came. He forgot. Lord remembered and he is reminding him and he is helping him to fulfill his desire. So, Lord is neutral. Neutral in the sense, even though that desire is not good for us also, because I desired it, he will give it. In so much neutral he is. And so he's sanctioning because we desired, he sanctions also. There is a question. Please just write execute Agnesh Buddhi. Shoot, not also, Buddhi helps how to get the object. Yes, yes, Buddhi will help how to get the object. It gives intelligence. Buddhi means it will tell, no, 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 not good for you, good for you. But Buddhi is weak, na? It cannot do anything. It will just go with the manas. That's why we say, na, Buddhi should be strong. Buddhi should be strong means it can control manas. In this situation, Buddhi is weak. It will just go with whatever demands of manas only. Ahankar and manas. Buddhi cannot do it. Buddhi is strong, it will control these two objects. That's how it works. Can you control manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankar with the power of manas? Here, if you write mind, It is, see, I will again explain this one more time. Uh, Here, chitta is unconscious mind. This is a modern term, means the science, the psychology they use. And buddhi is conscious mind. And manas is subconscious mind. And ahankara is identity. So now all three are mind only. One is unconscious, one is subconscious, one is conscious. That's the term. So when you ask this question, that is it possible to control with mind, means all three are mind only. So you have to understand the difference. How many times Mahatattva appears? Can you Mahatattva is only one time. Pradhana becomes Mahatattva. That's all. First it is Pradhana, and then what happens is Pradhana becomes Mahatattva. I'll Pradhana, when Lord glances. So Lord glances, what he is doing? Two things. One is time, then is Jiva. Jiva with uh, Jiva with Kala and Karma and Swabhava. So two things, they enter into Pradhana. So when they enter into Pradhana, Lord glances, these two things are sent. So this becomes into Mahatattva. Like, and here Lord in Mahatattva is time factor also, and then Paramatma also. So, and this transforms Mahatattva because of these factors. It transforms into Sutra Tattva, then into Ahankara Tattva. So this becomes into Mahatattva into Sutra Tattva, which actually is a cause of all actions. And then this Ahankara Tattva. Ahankara Tattva is all the elements. This is action, this is elements. Like that. So from Ahankara in contact with passion, ignorance, goodness. Again, this Ahankara contacts the three modes, and again all the other elements, the elements are created. But Sutra Tattva is the energy part, it gives the energy part. The Mahatattva is goodness, the knowledge part. We need knowledge, we need energy, and we need elements, right? Then all the functions happens. So knowledge. We need knowledge also, we need energy also, we need elements also. So Mahatattva is a knowledge part, like that is Chitta, it's memory part. And then energy part, action part, Sutratattva, like that. Any questions? Yes, Shivakumar Prabhu. Oh, okay. Yes, Shivakumar.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Then
Prabhu, a few questions, Prabhu. Thank you for the session today, Prabhu. It's very insightful. Chitta, when we say, Srila Prabhupada has translated as contaminated consciousness, right, Prabhu? So, in addition to the impression storage, does that also have this quality of consciousness, Prabhu, Chitta by itself?
I didn't understand the question, bro.
The Chitta is translated as contaminated consciousness.
Yeah, that I understood. Yeah.
So, in addition to the impression storage, does it also have the quality of consciousness, Prabhu, or the storage itself is kind of understood as consciousness?
No, bro. Actually, what happens now? Consciousness comes only when from the soul. Like no laptop is there, it has all memory, but when you connect it to power, then only it starts functioning. So chitta, when it comes in contact with the spirit, then only it starts functioning. Otherwise, it don't function. So on its own, it will function. Like laptop on its own, programs are happening behind. It is updating, doing so many things. I am just watching arre, how it is because it already programmed. It is doing its programming. So these things now already programmed. So Prakriti is Kriyamanani. It is already programmed. But the spirit should enter into it. That's all. Energy comes, it starts functioning. Soul night is observing, Arey, what is happening? Arey, you just gave the energy to it. That's all. You are not everything happens on its own.
But Prabhu, then why Prabhu the chitta is translated as contaminated consciousness? No, so I'm trying to understand. Actually, the consciousness is a quality of the soul by itself, right, Prabhu? So I'm just
Sometimes the words prove it to make us understand such things are explained.
okay.
Means to make us understand it's contaminated consciousness. It is to help us understand because it is chitta is almost like soul only. It's like no the heart and chitta are at same place. No, machitta matkata prana. When Krishna says, put your heart. So heart means you have to give your soul. So that is almost like chitta only. You are giving yourself.
Okay. So Prabhu, I'm just trying to correct my understanding. So when we say the impressions in chitta, no, all the objects identification are from the past memory, right, Prabhu? So that the identification is actually done with the help of that storage, right, the memory.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one thing. And Prabhu, other thing, you can you just go to the little go above Prabhu, the whole diagram you had, no? You said the chitta is like the cloud, right? And then you said the ahankar is like the drive which has the boundary of this body. But the chitta, Prabhu, the storage or memory is confined to a specific soul, right, Prabhu?
Chitta, no, bro, it's a cloud. All the memories for all the living entities can be stored in Mahatattva.
Oh, exactly. That's what I wanted to know, bro. So the chitta is not confined to a specific soul. It's common for it's the
Wow.
entire living entities.
What happens is some part of is taken to us, that is ahankara. Like what happens now, somebody who gives up ahankara, he get access for all the chittas. He can know what is there in your impressions also.
Oh, my goodness.
Like no, you get password for all the computers. You know which is there and what. Anyway, it is not so much use. It's useless only. But you get access. Somebody who gives up their ahankara, they can come and when you come, they can read what is there in your mind because they don't. They have given up that boundary, so they get access to your drives also.
Okay. This is astonishing, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, is there if he has by the impersonalist practice, if he has conquered ahankar, does it mean that he would have access to all the storage?
Yeah, he will have access. When you go in front of him, he can know it. That's why they say they're reading mind. Reading mind means he has given up some ahankara, so he's able to understand what is there in your chitta also.
Okay, Prabhu. So just Prabhu, one just technical question, Prabhu. The manas says I like, I don't like, but the ahankar is the one which does the identification of the body and says I want. But I see two categories, right, Prabhu? There is gross sense gratification, there is subtle sense gratification. Now, the gross sense gratification is for the body, I can understand, the senses enjoy the pleasure. But if it is a subtle sense gratification, it is a mind that is enjoying, no, Prabhu. But still, it goes through the route of ahankara, is it? Because the soul identification happens at the point of ahankara, is it?
Every level there is some level of enjoyment, bro. At the level of manas also there is happiness. At the level of ahankara there is certain happiness. At the level of buddhi also there is happiness. There is some sort of because everything has a memory. It's actually if you go more, if you try to analyze more deeply, now it's only chitta that is manifesting. See, chitta only becomes into ahankar.
Okay.
Chitta only becomes ahankar, buddhi, and manas. It's a transformation of chitta only, all these three things. What happens is because say I got certain impressions. Chitta is what? Chitta is impressions. So these impressions, they only create now that impressions they transform into I got say very, very good experience in the childhood. So all the impressions are very good. So then I will turn out to be a good person. My ahankara will say, My ahankara will say actually that sorry, like oh, I am a very good person. I for me all experiences are good. I'm very generous person. We say na, I'm very sadist, I'm generous, I'm very angry, I'm
Mm,
short tempered, I'm this, I'm that.
mm.
How did you know that you are like that? Because your impressions are like that.
Okay.
So that means how did you get that impressions? That is from chitta only. So our ahankara is found because the impressions in chitta.
Mm, mm, mm,
Now manas is saying I like, I don't like. That also came from chitta only.
mm, mm,
The chitta forms and buddhi is also same thing.
mm,
So basically it's a transformation of chitta. Chitta creates my personality as buddhi, manas, ahankar. But
mm,
chitta in itself is neutral, but the impressions some has created some
mm,
personality like me. If
mm,
chitta
mm,
is impressions from many lifetimes.
mm, mm.
Some things are given in this lifetime. You say,
Okay.
Prabhuji, I know I'm not very sensitive. I'm
Mm,
not very this, I am this. So some things we start identifying ourselves with.
mm,
That is
mm.
because of the impressions only,
Okay, okay,
like
okay,
that.
okay,
So it is chitta only that transforms into it.
okay, okay, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu. But Prabhu, I understood the role of impression, Prabhu, but Ahankara also draws the boundary of the soul, right, Prabhu? Of
Now
coming
here,
into a specific
here,
body.
so sir, I wanted to answer the previous question.
Uh,
Now here, all this is also found because of chitta. That
mm,
means impressions. This is also because of impressions. This is also, and
mm,
here, na, we have pleasures at different levels.
mm,
Manas is plus and minus. It's
mm,
emotional state.
mm, mm.
And buddhi also experience certain type of pleasure at a level of buddhi. You get certain nice points to hear from
Okay,
Bhagavatam class. Or buddhi
okay.
is satisfied.
Oh, mm,
And
mm.
now Ahankar is satisfied when we get some good name and fame, somebody appreciates, so nice
Mm,
class,
mm,
and
mm.
Ahankar is satisfied.
Okay.
So all levels there is certain type of, and Chitta it is like you get some complete peace and tranquility, Chitta is very peaceful.
Okay, okay.
If
Mm,
there are somebody comes and loves you or gives some affection, then Chitta is
mm,
satisfied.
mm, mm, mm,
So
mm,
at all levels there are pleasures.
mm, mm, mm. Okay, 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 okay. Prabhu, one last question, Prabhu, one practical question, Prabhu. Now, when we interact no, with others, be it a devotee or non-devotee, uh, say the conditioning manifests of the other person that I interact, and his conditioning is creating a friction where my conditioning also manifests. Now, whatever I read, no, whatever we read, and like there is this urge of our modes, and there is this intelligence from the Shastra also as to what is the right behavior. But at the point, Prabhu, when we are in the juncture of the situation, there is this competition of the learning from the Shastra, and there is this push of the modes, right, Prabhu? So I see most of the times I fall victim for the urge of the modes, Prabhu. Although there is this knowledge of how we should react, how we should respond, the urge of the modes seem to be taking over. So what I wanted to understand, Prabhu, this acting, responding according to Shastra, is can that only come by experience of practicing it, or is that because it's all in production, right, Prabhu? For example, in a software industry, if you take, if I want to develop something, I have a test environment where I have the control of the test environment where I put my code and iterate it. And when I know that it's working fine, then I move into production. But in our life, everything is in production, right, Prabhu? Everything happens in this situation. So it seems there is no way of practicing it. And the practice itself is happening in real time. I just wanted to hear from you, Prabhu. Is there any other way that can this be overcome only by practice, or is there any other way that we can behave according to the this thing Shastra, not be taken over by the modes?
Actually, how na bro? This when we say modes are affecting whom? When we say this question
Mm,
modes are affecting.
mm.
Modes are affecting whom? They're affecting manas only.
Okay.
They affect our manas. So
Mm,
now what happens is our manas in the morning it is in goodness, daytime it is in passion. Because the manas is made of three elements. Manas is made of all modes only.
mm,
Our manas is passion, ignorance, all the things if we see how it is creation. Creation is from three modes, right?
mm.
So anything you see around, it's all ahankara and ignorance, ahankara and passion, ahankara and goodness. It's all three modes only. So manas is actually what is? Manas is made of these three. If we say what is manas made of, these are the three elements, sattva, rajas, tama. Now we have to keep our manas in what mode? Goodness. So uh, now what happens is, if it is in passion and ignorance, then buddhi cannot control our manas.
Okay.
So buddhi can't control manas which is in passion and ignorance. We have to bring it to goodness.
Okay.
That is a duty. Now for us, the testing, you said, we create something, we have to test. What we have to do, we have to keep ourselves always in a environment where we are not tested. We have to protect ourselves that we don't expose ourselves. We have to keep in a very, what do you say, in that environment always protected. Association of devotees, shastras, hearing, buddhi. So that we know beyond this, if I go, I'll be failed. We have to protect with the limits of our buddhi. Says, don't go beyond this, don't go beyond this, don't go beyond this. We have to keep ourselves in that environment only, where in testing. And slowly, it expands, and suddenly something comes on its own, that's okay. But we have to protect ourselves. So our environment is where our buddhi is always. So we are conscious, then we will not get affected. Why we say conscious, being cautious? Being conscious means being with buddhi. Manas means emotional. Emotional unconsciousness. Emotional means like movie somebody is watching. It's an emotional state. They cannot experience. But conscious means we experience it. We know this is right, this is wrong. So we have to learn to be conscious. We are Krishna consciousness. We have to be conscious. So then we'll not act the whatever way we want. We are very focused. So our testing environment is because we get affected by all the three modes. So every day morning when you are sitting for chanting, you are working on it. You are testing today's test. You pass your chanting, whole day you will pass. Then what Krishna does, he will keep you the same. You pass your chanting and you will pass your whole day test also.
Thank you so much. Great.
Right. Yeah, mindfulness. That's a way to remove karma. Same consciousness, mindfulness, and there are other terms also people use. Okay. Any other questions, comments? We'll end here. Thank you all very much. Granthra Srimad. Okay. Veer Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Like yogi sees, I mean, they meditate on super soul as a Paramatma feature. How do we devotees see super soul? I mean, how do we, what form they meditate? Something like that.
We meditate on the personal form of Krishna. We meditate Radha and Krishna. So forever in place of super soul, they are replaced.
All right.
Replacement. It is replaced with Krishna only directly in the heart. Instead of Paramatma, for devotees, it is Radha and Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, comment? Okay. Thank you all very much. Tomorrow we will continue. Actually, many things are there. I am going a little fast. Maybe if we see, if we are interested, we can go a little.